Hey. There's narwhal news. Oh my god. Okay, so first of all, here it is, narwhals, you're familiar. Still nuts to me that this is a real animal. Second of all, the four-head sword, not made of bone like elk antlers and also not made of keratin like ram's horns. It's tooth. Odds are that you already knew this, but please remember the time from when you didn't. There's gotta be someone watching who doesn't know that already, who just learned it right now. Relish in the joy of other people's learning. So here's something all you smarty pants might not know. Yeah, this is a tooth. Big whoop, already learned that one. Did you know it's their only tooth? We just started and they're already so weird. I haven't even gotten to the point of the video yet. I just needed to ground you in how off the ground this is going to be. So in all the time of knowing that these Arctic abnormals lurk among us, we didn't know for sure what the tusk was for. I mean, your head is already probably like pre-filled whatever your first assumption of like, no, it's gotta of course be for, and it's probably one of these. First and foremost, what you probably assumed, males fighting. That's what a lot of other strong bone type things growing out of heads in mammals tend to be used for. So why would it be any different in narwhals? That's a decent first assumption, especially if you have no other information to go on. That's the main hypothesis. Number one, that's the main one that people have been working on. Number two would be dazzling the ladies, a la peacocks. Number three is hunting. This is by far the one most interesting to me and the one that will be most relevant to the actual narwhal news. Stay with me, I promise you I need to give you all of this in order for you to appreciate the narwhal news. So here's the news. For the first time ever, period, full stop, we have a video of narwhals using their tusk. You might be thinking to yourself, well, come on, I've seen lots of narwhal videos in like nature documentaries. I've seen them with the males, like they, What you've probably seen are narwhals like emerging from the water and like when they pop their heads up together, sometimes they'll point their tusks sort of like, but they're not really using it. They're just like, you're just gathering in a circle and by default, they're all sort of pointing the same way because they got a pointer attached to them. The shape of an L on her forehead. Are you ready? They use it to whack fish. So who do we have to thank for bringing this fantastic footage to the World Wide Web? Well, that brings me to context and explanation. This footage was work of a research team that published the following paper titled Use of Tusks by Narwhals, Monodon, Monoceros in Foraging, Exploratory, and Play Behavior. It was led by Greg O'Corey-Crow, who is a professor not somewhere in Canada or at some other Arctic Circle university, but at Florida Atlantic University? I don't know, take professorships where you can get them. So here's how the researchers in this paper captured their footage. They used this specific brand and model of drone, and they flew at a minimum of 20 meters above the water surface at all times, so that, sound would be dampened. During the behavioral sequence, W1, which is a particular narwhal, this one here, briefly hit the fish with the tip of its tusk on 12 occasions. In general, the fish in observation 1 did not swim at top speed and executed evasive maneuvers by briefly increasing speed and regularly changing course. Did the carp know they were just being messed with? Were they playing along? Was there like a mutual understanding here? Were they playing together? Or were the carp so routinely bullied, so familiar with this daily occurrence, they just knew that it was coming and they didn't have the energy to fight back?
Hey, watch this.
Leave me alone.
Well, we just wanted you to...
I said leave me alone.
You want trouble, huh?
So use anything at your disposal to get away safely without injury.
As far as what the narwhals are getting out of this, immediately after W1 made a hit, donk, the fish reacted with a short flurry of rapid tail and body movements. This elicited an immediate recoil response from W1. The gulls, they apparently bully narwhals. They literally steal their lunch. Klepto, parasitism. On one occasion, W3, which is a younger male, pursued a fish in a wide arc, eventually caught up with the fleeing fish, and delivered a series of rapid blows with the side of its tusk. The side, not the sharp tip, that's interesting. But the fish escaped. This fish had also successfully escaped from a diving gull on 4 occasions. W2 pursued a fish somewhat below the surface and hit it several times and appeared to successfully consume it. So just so we're all clear, this poor fish, attacked by a gull. Gull drops down into the water, the fish evades it. This happens 3 more times. It escapes being lunched a total of 4 times. Then it gets toyed around and batted around by a bored narwhal, only for a second bored narwhal to mess with it before eating it. Life is unfair. So now that we've seen the narwhals use their tusks for that, does it debunk all the other hypotheses? Not necessarily. There's not really any reason why such a high-risk asset would serve only one purpose. And keen-eyed observers who are in the unfortunate position of also being long-time viewers of the channel will note I have, among other bad habits, one of not closing the loop on asterisks. I have left you hanging before, but worry not, this is not going to be one of those times. Males fightin'. Pull up a chair, ladies and germs. Is about to get kinda weird. You see, tusks, horns, things of that nature are overwhelmingly seen in male mammals, and narwhals are no exception. But overwhelmingly does not mean exclusively. Nature is messy. Life is fuzzy. The concept of mutual exclusivity was invented by humans because you see, lady narwhals grow tusks. And not just like a little nubbins either, like whabbalamo, that sure is a tusk if ever I seen one. Whatever it is that makes a male is not what makes a tusk. And you might think, all right, well, they dredged an oddity out of the ocean. Lots of weird stuff down there. And that brings me to, how often do you think sometimes there's like a lady narwhal with a horn? 1 in a million? 1 in 10,000? 1 in 1,000? Yeah, somewhere between 1 in 10,000 and 1 in 1,000. Like there aren't that many narwhals, you know? Like they're not terribly endangered, but they're not like a huge population species, you know? They're not like bugs, like there's not that many of them. No, 15%. I've found 2, count them, 2. Good, chunky, reputable primary sources. Okay, I'm talking your favorite citation's favorite citation. And the percentage is wildly different. A very new paper on tusk abnormalities, like double tusk or lack thereof, examined 4 cohorts. 2 had no female narwhals with tusks. 1 had 1, a total percentage of 1.4. An earlier research report for the Canadian Fisheries Department found that 15% figure. Basically, all research which cites any figure is using 15% if it was published before that newer research that found 1.4%. Now consider once more how small samples are considering the estimated population size. And finally, consider that any observations, records, or other interesting documentation about these neat little blubber tums not on the internet or not published in English are completely invisible to me. What's the habitat range of narwhals? Ah, shoot, that's a lot of not English. And not only that, not all adult male narwhals have tusks. And sometimes male narwhals have 2. What is he, double male? Come on. Nearly every article I have read, and I have read quite a few, both like technical for professionals and also general audience, will use some variation of the phrase, tusks are rare in females. Only 15% have them, and they're usually smaller, comma, and then it just like moves on to whatever the point of the sentence was. Only 15%? I'm sorry. You've surely been in a room with 7 gals before. If you looked around that room and one of the ladies had a fucking horn growing out of the center of her face, do you think you would find that unremarkable? I think a better way to think about this in terms of like how rare this is as a phenomenon would be maybe more akin to like prominent facial hair in human ladies. It's pretty pedestrian for like a human lady to grow facial hair, be it like a couple of whiskers or like a full-on beard, for like a zillion different reasons. That doesn't make you any more or less of a lady, even though beards are generally understood to be like a secondary sexual characteristic of human males, but like we also know that not all human males can grow beards. That does not make them any more or less human males. So likewise, it does not make a human female any more or less human female if she like gotta spend like a lot of time in front of the mirror. It's not like I could grow easily the world's fuggliest goatee here, and here. if I wanted to. I don't know anything about that. And this can be very difficult to describe with ease and precision because here on the Anglosphere internet, we're not great at teasing out the difference and neatly and clearly describing distinctions between sex, gender, genetic physical characteristics, elected physical characteristics, behavior, and all this in between. We're certainly not great as human beings from restraining from anthropomorphizing. I've done it plenty. I think it's fucking sick that there are bull-dagger dyke narwhals out there who grow full-on horns. That's awesome. I love it. But also I am anthropomorphizing. I am making a lot of assumptions of what the role of the tusked lady narwhals is in narwhal society. The assumption I'm making is that she is cool and I want to be her best friend if I were to be a narwhal. Now, if you find yourself growing slightly irritated with me, thinking, what does this have to do with the narwhal tusks? That's the news in this video. Stay with me. I assure you, a lot, actually. Accurately understanding population distribution of a physical characteristic is pretty key to understanding what may be its utility. Consider if we were not noting at all the sex of the narwhals with the horns. Then that would be 1, bad note-taking, but 2, a completely missed opportunity to learn something interesting. And so because we know that most, but not all, male narwhals have tusks, and some, but not most, female narwhals have tusks, that brings us back to what they're for. We had just kind of inferred, like, surely that's gotta be for hunting, right? You have a sword strapped to your face. What else could you use that for? Let's take another look at the video. So he's caught up, right? Like, if he wanted to, he could just skewer that carp, but he doesn't. So the researchers feel reasonably confident that this is pretty strong evidence that what we're watching is play, it's social. They're just hanging out. It's summertime. They're not in a time of scarcity. They're probably not terribly hungry. It's unclear how important to their diet carp is. So since these are all males, not much we can infer about, you know, lady narwhal tusks use. But the near consensus is that, like, they generally just swallow fish whole. So it may be that they use it to, like, bat the fish back and forth to stun it, to disorient it, to make it easier to, like, get. They may use it to injure a fish. But again, it could be critical to hunting.
And that was supposed to be the beginning of the conclusion. But then something happened. I started to lose my grip. The video was well and done. I just needed to grab a media report covering Corey Crow et al.'s work, and wham bam, upload ma'am. I saw this video and thought, oh, this must be a supplemental drone shot that I missed when downloading the original research materials. And wow, how could I? It's the clearest feeding in the whole tranche, no two ways about it. Maybe this is uploaded after publication. What? But this team, Corey Crow and Co. was the first. Every single outlet and report says they're the first. And now this 9-year-old footage showing clear as day feeding using the same filming technique crosses my bloodshot eyeballs at the 11th hour. In the 4th month of working on this video about blubber whales or the 4-foot snaggletooth. I gotta be missing something. I have been building a master's thesis in narwhology. How could I not know that there was another? Is this real? Let me just look up this filmmaker. Who do they think they are? Oh. Okay, it's super real. This is filmed by Adam Ravetch. Some of his work is in the recommended Learn More section of the Cetations because it was so valuable in getting the foundation of this video. This dude is like the premier Arctic Ocean documentary filmographer. He's Mr. National Geographic, BBC, those movies that they play at natural history museums. The new research from Corey Crow et al. Is so fantastically substantiated. And my video, hinging on this being news, is so wrecked. All right, maybe I can salvage this a little if I email the filmographer a few questions. Anyway, back to the not special, not news anymore at all video.
Now, to be clear, in a way that the reporting on this has not been, humans surely at some point have seen a narwhal use their tusk in some way at some point in time. Humans have intermittently been living up in the Arctic for quite some time now. But like, just go a couple of blinks back in history and you try doing old-timey photography or au plein air oil painting in this environment, in these garments. Yeah, it's quite a challenge. Friggin' wish I had brilliantly climate-adapted clothing when I was in Indiana a couple of weeks ago. Temperature outside wasn't old enough to drink, so unbelievably cold. It's not my ideal biome. And ultimately, the reason why we haven't seen narwhals do that much with their tusks is that, it's just hard to catch a glimpse of them. BBC got some really cool footage of them very briefly swimming under ice, and that was quite rare, little treat. Now, I learned all about this on Science Friday, which is a public radio show. I have been listening regularly since I was in middle school. I have never been cool. And this particular research team took the radical, futuristic, galaxy brain approach of asking people who live there for advice. They trekked deep into the frozen wilderness, into a small fishing hamlet, and went to the office, the Nunavut Wildlife Management Agency. I mean, I assume they just called them, but like, yeah, they just asked like the experts there. They thought, hey, you probably know. Local expertise, wild idea. If you're curious, you can read about them and like how natural resource management and like power sharing works in Nunavut. It's quite interesting. You can read about it on their website, both in English and in Eastern Canadian Inuktitut. Look at that. Dope. The Resolute Bay Hunters and Trappers and the Taloi Oak and the Umar Ol Irigut Association also provided expertise and guidance to the scientists, and they made sure to thank them specifically in both press and in the paper. So I will also thank them for their guidance, because it brought us this fantastic footage. Editing me. That's it. That's it. I can't take it anymore. I have been haunted by trying to complete this video for months now. What the fuck do you mean? The actual surprise first person to ever get a video of narwhals using their tusks lives in my town. I could use my goddamn municipal bus pass to get an in-person first-hand account of narwhal feeding and never have to get even mildly chilly? Monodon, monoceros, release me from your fascinating grasp, please! I have other things I need to do this year. It's May already. Oh, but I did get a hold of him. Want to hear a first-hand account of watching a narwhal use their tusk to whack a fish and then slurp it up? Too bad, you have to wait till part 2. There's still so much more I have to tell you about narwhals.